Glenn Beck misleads on climate report and meat consumption. Did you read this, Stu?
I did, Glenn, and I was interested because it says in the story that, of course, you're lying about all sorts of things we'll get to here in a second, but it says they reached out to you for comment, but a response was not forthcoming.
No.
And did you?
No.
When can we expect the response to become?
Oh, it's forthcoming.
It's forthcoming.
It's forthcoming now.
Now on the radio is where it forthcomes.
Now on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
It's forthcoming. Mm-hmm. It's imminent.
That's good to know.
Its forthcomingness. Yeah.
Because I'm fascinated by this particular critique of your work, which is lengthy.
Sure.
It is. It goes through all the details of what you said, and in particular, I guess they're talking about a TikTok or something. Somebody posted a TikTok or a reel about a clip from one of your shows talking about what's going on. Part of the things that you're talking about in Dark Future and your critique of the World Economic Forum and their vision for what is ahead for us. And in
some of their targets.
Yeah, you talk about how the plan for 2030 from the World Economic Forum was that your family will eat 0 amounts of meat and 0 amounts of dairy. Each person will be restricted to 2,500 calories a day. Each family member will only receive 3 new items of clothing per year. Now, that's a pretty radical accusation.
That's a crazy...
Well, it is. It's a pretty crazy accusation, and you would need to have something to support that. You can't just make something like that up. And I was surprised that, if you would have nothing behind that. Of course, in the article, they show exactly what the supporting material is.
Right.
Which is something.
But they say it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Can we go through this?
Yes, please.
A report published in 2019 states that humans will only be permitted, this is their reporting, will only be permitted to buy 3 items of clothing a year and will be prohibited from buying or consuming meat. The WEF, an international non-governmental organization, meets annually in Davos, Switzerland, is a frequent target of online disinformation. They have previously debunked claims that the group wants to ban eggs and force people to eat insects. Rumors of meat and dairy restrictions are inaccurate, according to the WEF, which has no authority or governments or policy. While the World Economic Forum is contributing to reflect about how to sustainably and nutritiously feed a growing population, our organization has no plan to restrict people's nutrition. Okay. To support his segment, Beck cites a June 2019 report from C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group titled The Future of Urban Consumption in a 1.5 Centigrade World, archived here. So they give you the link. The group, a global network of nearly 100 mayors working to combat climate change, has a page on the WEF website. Linked here.
So they're not saying the document you're talking about is not a real document. They are telling you that it is a real document. It is a real organization. It is a climate group, and it is 100 different mayors are involved in putting all this together for the climate.
Right, and it is part of the WEF website. Okay,
Yes.
So it's hard to find the conspiracy there. In 2017, I'm quoting, emissions associated with food were estimated to account for 13% of total consumption-based emissions across C40 cities, says the report, whose stated goal is to inspire practical action. Roughly 3/4 of these emissions stem from consumption of animal-based foods, with the remaining 25% from consumption of plant-based foods, it says. The study, a collaboration between the C40 cities, Erupt, and University of Leeds, modeled how 5 different food-related interventions would affect the progression of global warming. The report includes both progressive and ambitious targets for 2030. Is Sarah Palin involved in this? Is she targeting again? I learned that was a very dangerous word. What do they mean by targets, Stu?
That's very, very dangerous. Target's an interesting word, yes, because they are critical of you and your analysis of this, where they say the stuff you're talking about, 0 meat consumption, 0 dairy consumption per year is in the category of ambitious target. Now,
okay, this is the scenario. 0 kilograms of meat and dairy consumption, a limit of 2,500 calories per day, and 0 household food waste. That's their target as described in the hyperlink they provide to discredit me.
Yes, and the target, it's an interesting word. We know it as a store now. That's where it's mostly used, or some threat by Sarah Palin against some congressional candidate years ago. But actually, it means other things as well. An objective or a result toward which efforts are directed. So an ambitious target would be an ambitious objective toward which efforts are directed, which kind of seems like essentially what they really want to happen. If they're ambitious and they get everything they want, this is the thing they want, right? That's what this would mean in this context.
But only 0 kilograms of meat and dairy consumption a year and a limit of 2,500 calories per day and 0 household food waste. The study also includes an ambitious target of limiting new clothing items to 3 per person per year. But those numbers are not policy recommendation. This report does not advocate for the wholesale adoption of these more ambitious targets in C40 cities. Rather, they're included to provide a set of reference points that cities and other actors can reflect on when considering different emission reduction alternatives.
Wait, hold on.
Long-term urban visions.
That's not at all what the definition of target is. That's not at all. It's not a this is what could happen if you did this thing. And look, scientific reports do that all the time, right? They'll say like, oh, well, if you were to happen to cut this by this percentage, this is what would happen. That's not what this is.
Right.
This is an ambitious target. When you're at an archery range, you are shooting for the target. You are trying to hit the middle of the target, the bullseye of the target. Ambitious. So in other words, hitting the target at all might be fine, but ambitiously, you'd like to hit the bullseye.
Okay, so wait a minute. Are you saying that if I'm out on the shooting range and there's a target, but there's also in between you, the arrow, and the target, there's like a bunny rabbit and maybe a person, those might be possible suggestions. But not necessarily the target.
The target is what you're aiming for. If you've ever seen a Target store, Glenn, you'll see a giant target. You aim for the center of the target. It's a little bullseye logo. That's what it is.
I'm not sure I get this. Okay. The group confirmed the report is an analysis of consumption-based emissions in C40 cities and not a plan for cities to adopt. It's up to individuals to make their personal lifestyle choices, including what type of food to eat and what type of clothing they preferred. We reached out to Beck for comment, but a response was not forthcoming. It's happening right now. The WEF leads the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance on technology governance and initiatives aimed at ensuring responsible and ethical use of smart city technologies. But the 2019 climate report makes no mention of smart cities, which have been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. Through the WEF-led alliance, 36 cities are pioneering projects to improve access to amenities and plan for forthcoming technologies such as autonomous vehicles. Beck also references a 15-minute city urban design philosophy, which is attributed to Carlos Moreno, a computer scientist and interpreter at Paris's Sorbonne University. Moreno said the concept aims to face up to our ecological, economic, and social challenges by reducing car use and commuting times. Never have there been proposals for restrictions. On the contrary, this is an opportunity. More choice, more services, more desire to thrive in one's neighborhood with still having the choice to go where you please. Really?
That's wonderful.
That's amazing. Because I know when I live and do something that maybe global warming people disagree with, They are always into my free choice. They are always into my choice of saying, I'm not going to recycle. They love it when people say that. They love it. I'm going to drive a big fat SUV, and I'm going to leave it running outside because I want the cold when the air conditioning, because I'm just popping inside for a minute. They love that choice. Love it, love it, love it.
And it won't be a choice anymore because, as you know, all the car companies are stopping the combustion engine completely. But that was never they never made a policy to stop that, Glenn.
They never had a policy on that.
No. Of course, it was just a bunch of ambitious targets that just happened to say we want to wipe out the combustion engine as written in friggin' Al Gore's book in the late 80s or early 90s.
But that was just a target.
It was just an ambitious
a suggestion.
Target. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's
Don't
all
look at it at all.
Yes. Thank you. You know, let me ask you, if the writer of this Yahoo News report, I wonder if I got on the air and said, hey, I'd like to round up all the Jews. I wonder if they would say, well, Glenn Beck, he's just a loudmouth on the radio.
He has no power.
You know,
it's just an ambitious target of his. He has an ambitious target to commit genocide. It's not necessarily a policy.
But it's not going to happen.
I mean, sure, he hobnobs with people who do have that power all the time. And the only reason we know the name Davos at all, unless you live in the area, is because we all know there's a massively important meeting where really powerful people gather to talk about this stuff all the time. But of course, they're not implementing policy. Why would it be important for you at all to even know about this ambitious target he has?
Look, if I was gathering just to ski, let's say it's Snowbird, with a bunch of people who were like-minded, but they all were extremely powerful, and I was giving them a speech, I'd have like Klaus Schiff.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Klaus Schiff. And his father was a Nazi, okay? And he was saying at the Snowbird Resort, what we need to do is round up all the Jews. Would they say that Klaus Schwab has no power? He has no power, and forget about his Nazi dad. I mean, they're skiing up there, and all the leaders of the world who are signing on to documents that are saying, hey, Jews aren't so great, don't worry about that. Would the writer write that this was nothing at the ski lodge and that Glenn Beck just had an ambitious target and no one should pay attention to it? I think not.
No. I don't think so.
Not.
I mean, personalize this a little bit here, Glenn. Like, if you went to Tanya tomorrow and you said, you know, I have an ambitious target to hook up with 23-year-old prostitutes all over the city of Las Vegas this weekend. Now, of course, they would have to accept these particular arrangements. I don't have any power to force them to do these things. It's just my ambitious target to hook up with all these prostitutes. I'm sure she'd be fine with it.
Prostitutes.
Yeah.
I don't know any prostitutes right now.
Right.
It's just a target.
I'm just going to Las Vegas where it happens to be. There's lots and lots of prostitutes, but you can't. It's just an ambitious target of mine, so you shall ignore it, wife. I'm sure she'd take you up on that one.
Tanya would be, she would say, oh, my husband doesn't have any power for prostitutes. And in some ways, that's very true. But the desperate prostitutes